All right, we're going to get started with our post-race media availabilities here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. We are joined by the crew chief from the race-winning team, which was the number 20 Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota, and we have Adam Stevens here. Adam, your first win of the season. Why don't you just talk a little bit about what this means for you guys?
Man, it really means a lot. You know, we had a couple we felt slip away from us early in the year. Certainly race-winning cars and race-winning efforts, and weren't able to put it all together. And today, I'll be the first to admit, I don't think we had the best car, but you can't make mistakes, and you have to make the right calls at the right times, and you have to have a couple breaks go your way. And we checked all those boxes today, and we're able to be our best at the end after a few adjustments and Christopher's feedback. And we knew we had a good long-run car, so it was definitely key that last run stayed green, and we were able to show it.
Awesome. Well, we'll open up to questions for Adam. If you have a question for Adam, please raise your hand. We'll get a mic to you, and we'll start right here with Doug.
Hey, thank you. Doug Turnbull from PRN. Good to see you again. What was the biggest thing that you felt like either the 20 team or others that you were listening to or getting feedback from were fighting? Because in my position, standing in the turns, it looked like it was really hard to drive out there.
Yeah, these cars aren't easy to drive, and this place is super bumpy. We don't come here twice a year. Obviously, it's the first time we've been here with this car. There's lots of things about this car, setup-wise, that make it hard to handle. And all setups are a compromise, and there's some pretty big compromises here. And, you know, the entry bumps are something that plays a major factor in the setup and controls the rest of the corner, and it just seemed like to rotate the center, you were on edge of being too free on the exit, which is pretty normal for Loudon, but it was probably magnified since this was our first rip at it as a series coming here with these cars.
I'm going to stay over here with Bob and then go to Matthew.
Bob Hawkers, Fox Sports. I have two. The first off, did you think you had a better car than the 9?
I thought we did on the long run. There were multiple times in the race with shorter runs that we were racing him and not quite able to clear him. And I really felt like with laps on tires, we were as good as anyone. So it was just key to get that long run. And then, I mean, clearly we drove away from him at the end there. But, yeah, it seemed like we needed a good 40 laps on our tires to really show our strength.
And, you know, NASCAR to make a decision on the wheel coming off last week. They said no penalty. Do you feel like, do you win this race if you're not here and you have to make changes to your crew?
Yeah, it would have been a bigger factor with the over-the-wall guys than it would be without my physical presence here. With all the tools and communication, ways to communicate that we have, you know, me sitting in Huntersville wouldn't have been the end of the world. And certainly my two engineers are very, very capable, and they could probably answer the questions that I would need to answer without my input. So that wouldn't slow us down, I don't think. But, you know, if you're going back to the drawing board with the pit crew roster, you know, we just had 1 week to gel in Atlanta, and this is our second week for them to gel. So I don't think you can, in a couple practices, work all those kinks out. And obviously we feel like we're putting our best foot forward there. So to bring a couple new guys in would have been tough. I think that would have been the story.
Go here to Matthew.
Matthew Warners with YankeeRacer.com. Adam, another dominating performance by JGR today. Martin led a lot of the race, and then Christopher won. What makes JGR be so well up here? And with the limited amount of practice, how do you think the new car was going to react to this track in particular?
Man, I was as much at a loss the weeks leading up, you know, thinking about setups and using all of our tools and our simulations. And like I said, everything's such a compromise. It's really tough to know if you're making the right decisions. And I would say if it was a short run race, that we wouldn't have been the best, you know. But thankfully it was a long run race at the end, you know. And why JGR is good up here, I don't know. We've been good up here for years with different rules packages and even different drivers. I think just about all of our drivers have dominated a race up here. I guess Martin hasn't won, but he's been good enough to win. I can't tell you how many times, and certainly he was today. But I think sometimes success breeds on success, and when you're good and everybody else is good, you're finding those little ways to get better. You know, you look at our road course program now, and we're not very good, and it's tough to find ways to get better. You kind of need that that setup or that team that's doing a better job, and you can pick out what the differences are, and then you can exploit those and keep kicking the can down the road. And I think that as a group, we just hit on something years ago and have been able to duplicate it with all the different tire combinations and rules packages.
Go to Mark.
Mark Garrow, PRN, congratulations. 14 different winners. You're in the playoff at this particular point. How do you view your situation now, and do you start to dare to peek ahead to what you need to do for the playoff?
Well, now we clearly need bonus points. I think that we've shown all year that we have probably top 5 speed week in and week out. We just dug such a deep hole at the beginning of the season. At one point, 4 or 5 or 6 races in, we were like 32nd in the points. And I think we're, somewhere around 8th right now, and far enough away from the back end of the playoff qualified cars now that we don't have to sweat that for these next few weeks. And it was getting to the point, with Daytona and Indy Road Course still on the schedule, that it was pretty clear that it was going to take a win to get in. And thankfully, we had just enough capability in our car, and situations played out. We could get it done today.
So what do you think? Do we see 15, 16 different winners, or are we at the max? What do you think?
I think we will see at least one more. I really do. The fact that the 12 and the 19 and the 4 haven't won is astonishing to me. Certainly, I think we all had them on our potential winners list at the beginning of the year, and they've shown the speed. Maybe not every weekend, but certainly they have weekends where they're as good as anyone, all 3 of them. So I would expect one of them in victory lane, and anything can happen at Indy. We saw the finish of that race last year, brutal, and clearly anything can happen, and usually does at Daytona.
Do we have any additional? Go right here.
Pat Dickel at NASCAR.com. Both you and Christopher, cool, calm, collected. But how close are you guys to hitting the panic button? Not having a playoff spot until right now.
We haven't even really talked about it. We felt like that our speed week in and week out is good enough to put us in position to win races, and we've been in that position plenty of time this year. And we felt like if we do our jobs on the weekend, that we're scoring plenty of points. I didn't feel like the 19 was out of reach point-wise. The 12 is now. But, we felt like there was still an off chance that we could point our way in, and a very good chance that we could win a race.
I'm going to go to Nathan in the back.
Nathan Son with the podium finish. Adam, when you're in that situation, how much do you coach Christopher versus maybe how much you'd coach, Kyle in that situation from a few years ago?
You talking in the shop or on the racetrack?
Going down the stretch, right on the racetrack.
Yeah, on the racetrack, I tried to coach Christopher a little bit, and he told me that he had it under control, and clearly he did. So I thought that was a little surprising. KB, we worked together for I don't know how many years, a lot. So we knew how to push each other buttons the right way and what each one needed to hear. And I got to beat a little bit different drum for Christopher, but we're going to have to get in this situation more to figure out what information he needs to do his best. And the last thing you want to do as a crew chief is have the driver misunderstand the situation and make an aggressive mistake when maybe he doesn't need to. So, those are conversations that we'll have, and we'll look through the data, and I'll figure out what he wants to hear in that situation. And, KB and I had it from all the Xfinity days and the 6 years, I guess, on the Cup side together that, it was like second nature to us. So we got some learning to do. We got to get in this situation a little bit more often.
We'll go back to Matthew.
I meant to ask, I know fuel mileage has always been a big thing at this particular track. Just talk about how you were telling Christopher to save fuel, because was fuel a worry?
No, we were only telling him that under caution because we clearly have the opportunity to save fuel and be easy on the fuel under caution. The lap that the caution came out, we knew that we were on edge, and by the lap that we pitted, we knew that we were going to be fine. But if they don't have a clean plug and you don't have as much fuel in there as maybe you thought you did, or if for some reason the track would grip up and the lap times would drop later in the run, it's just good practice. But we weren't on edge by the time we went green.
Anything final for Adam? We'll go back to Bob.
Bob Hawkers, Fox Sports. When Christopher said, "I got it," not to coach him anymore. You said that surprised you, and did that make you feel like, oh, he's seeing something, and that confidence, we're going to win this thing?
I think he understood that he was driving away, and he just wanted his radio a little bit quieter. So no, I was happy to hear it. I chuckled. I looked at Morgan and just kind of laughed and had a conversation with my engineers on the radio. But yeah, and clearly he did have it. So kudos to him.
All right, Adam, congratulations on the win. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, guys.